Who are you? I'm Mr. Owl. I know everything. Well, Mr. Owl, said Hansel, can you tell us when the moon's going to come out? Oh, you need the moon, do you? Well, for that, you must call for Mr. Wolf. I'll call him for you. Mr. Wolf! Mr. Wolf! And suddenly come crashing and bashing and thrashing through that forest the greatest gray wolf they'd ever seen. He came to the middle of the clearing, looked the children in the eye, and said, "Well, children, what do you need?" Mr. Wolf, we need the moon. Is that too much to ask? Oh, no, not too much to ask. And the wolf sat back on his great gray haunches, lifted his great gray head into the sky. You want to try that one time with Mr. Wolf? And there in the middle of the sky was the biggest, most beautiful moon they'd ever seen. "Thanks, Mr. Wolf," said Hansel. "Thanks, Mr. Wolf," said Gretel. And they ran down the trail, and they were very happy. Up ahead of them, they heard some kind of a party going on. Tweet, 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 sweet bread to eat. We're having a party. Tweet, 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 sweet bread to eat. We're having a party. Hansel and Gretel ran up to where the birds were eating the bread on the path. "Oh, no," they said. "Now you've eaten all our bread and we'll never find our way back home. Thanks for the party. Thanks for the party. Thanks for the party. Sorry." Now Hansel and Gretel were alone again. No moon in the sky. No Mr. Wolf. No Mr. Owl. But they were together. And Gretel said to Hansel, "Hansel, are you afraid?" And Hansel said, "Well, if you pretend that you're not afraid, then I'll pretend that I'm not afraid, and we can pretend that we're not afraid together." And so they walked on, step by step, bush by bush, until they came to another clearing. And in the middle of this clearing, there was a fountain bubbling with lemonade. And all around, the trees had potato chips for leaves. The house in that clearing was made of gingerbread, with Turkish taffy chinking, and the door was a big chocolate bar. Hansel and Gretel ran up to that house and began eating pieces of the house. "Big Gretel, I told you everything was going to be all right. I told you."
Nibble, nibble like a mouse. Who's that nibbling on my house? Nibble, nibble like a mouse. Who's that nibbling on my house?
And the door creaked open, and out stepped an old withered crone, with a nose as long as a poker and two squinty eyes.
Oh, two little people to visit, Granny. Who have we got here? What's your name, dear?
My name's Gretel, ma'am, and this is my brother Hansel.
Oh, two little children. Oh, how sweet. Come in, children, come in. Granny will fix you a good dinner of potatoes and sausage and greens and milk and bread. Come in, come in. Two little children, oh, how sweet. Two little children, sweet enough to eat.
And the children went into the house of the witch, and there they had a good dinner. And when they were finished, they were tired, and said to the old woman, "May we stay here overnight?"
Oh, dears, there's nothing I'd like better than for you to stay overnight. Come, sleep in Granny's feather bed.
And when the children were asleep, the old woman went to the kitchen and did a dance.
Two little children, oh, how sweet. Two little children, sweet enough to eat. I'll fatten them up, and then I'll sup on two little children, sweet enough to eat.
The witch went outside and brought into the kitchen a cage big enough to fit a deer. And in the morning, she woke the children and said to Hansel,
"Hansel, won't you come into the kitchen, dear, and see if this cage for a deer is big enough and strong enough to keep a deer? Just step inside, dear."
And when Hansel was inside the cage, she closed the door and cast a spell to lock it. "Gretel, run away, run away." Gretel ran to the front door, turned around and said, "No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here.
Very good decision, dear, because now you can help me with the sweeping, and help me with the mopping, and help me with the dishes, and help me with the cleaning, and help me with the cooking, for we're going to cook meals for your brother and make him very, very fat.
And so it was that Hansel and Gretel stayed in the house of the witch. And every day, Gretel would make delicious food. And every day, Hansel got fatter and fatter. And every day, the witch would go to Hansel's cage and say,
Hansel, stick out your finger, dear, so I can see if you're fat enough yet.
and every day Hansel would stick out a chicken bone.
Not yet, not yet.
And so for 6 months this went on, until the witch was impatient and said,
Today's the day. Gretel, we're going to have a feast. Start the fire in the stove, dear.
"Oh, ma'am, I don't know how to start a fire in the stove."
Oh, you impudent little child, you do this. You take the match like this, and you lean into the stove like this.
And as the witch leaned in, Gretel pushed her from behind, and the witch was seen no more. When the witch was gone, Hansel's cage opened as if by magic, and he jumped out. Just then the stove broke apart, and out of the stovepipe there fell rubies and diamonds and jewels and pearls. Hansel and Gretel stuffed the rubies and diamonds and jewels and pearls into their pockets, ran out of that witch's house and down the path, not knowing exactly where they were going, but at least they were together. Soon they were joined by a friend running alongside them.
Hello, children. How are you today?
"Oh, fine, Mr. Wolf, now that we're free."
Would you like a ride on my back?
"We'd love a ride." And so they got on the back of Mr. Wolf, and he sped them through that forest. He took them to a riverside, and there on the river was a swan, who came to the bank on which Hansel